their 15-year career, Moncton's Les Païens have evolved into one of l'Acadie Moderne's most influential acts. Their music fuses modern-day rock with experimental jazz stylings.
We had the privilege of speaking with Jean Surette after their recent show at the Capitol Theatre in Moncton, New Brunswick about the band's 15-year musical odyssey.
In the 13 years we've been doing this, we've changed a lot of directions. Improvisation has always stayed the constant. We started off as a trio. Well, started jamming as a three-piece, drums, bass, guitar. But we were jamming with a lot more people at the time. It was like more of a jamming community that we started sort of like in '89. We were just I'd say 12 or 13 people. We had a lead singer at one point for about three years, I'd say. Chris Leblanc, who's a filmmaker. Paul Bossé was doing soundscapes for us too between songs, and Mario Doucette, who's an artist, was doing visual arts. So once we started getting a bit more organized in our songwriting, because at the beginning it was just like a circus. It was just crazy. Anything goes, and everything usually did go. And after a while, we started writing more songs. And we as a trio, we were practicing a lot. And what the problem with this, what was going on, is that we weren't practicing with the other elements of the band. So at one point, we just became a trio. In '98, we started the jam at Au Deuxième, which was a great club, which is now, I forget what it's called. It's the second floor on top of Doc's, beside Doc Dylan's. Anyway, it's a late night club now, but at the time it was a great cabaret, great place to see gigs. Sébastien, who's now in the band, Sébastien Michaud, started coming to the jam. He was underage at the time, actually. And so we sort of chop-spotted him. Hey man, this guy, I think he's going to be something later on. And we recruited him in 2000. We decided, okay, well, if we're going to be a quartet and we have a trumpet, later on to be sax, we decided to go instrumental. So around 2001, we decided to go instrumental. Epiphone started off as an idea, actually started off a long time ago, started like in '96. The idea is Epiphone is that sort of like a universe can be created. You know, we wanted to create our own universe and sort of have gods and demigods and sort of like them, sort of like the Romans and the Greeks. Basically, there are three Epiphones, and we were playing with the idea that each dimension has its own sort of criteria and kinds of gods and kinds of influences. And we didn't go too deep because after a while we thought, man, we're just going to confuse people with this and no one's going to get it and they're going to think we're like, So we stayed with the basic idea that it's three. Three's a magic number, and the three different colors, let's say, or we're working with the square, the circle, and the triangle. Our first one, Zern to Turn, is the square. The second one that we just released in 2004, Sphere, well, that's the circle. And the next one will be the triangle. And we always thought the triangle would be like sort of like the epitome of everything. Zern to Turn, if you found one, was more of a live album. Most of the cuts are live with some overdubs to make it sound a bit better. Second one is a real studio album, but live off the floor mostly with studio wonderment. And then the next one, we'd like it to be studio, but with a live feel. Plus, we'd like a producer to come in and sort of slap us around. How far we'll get into the actual trilogy and all the gods and all that, I don't think it'll make it to the album, but I'm hoping the next website will be like pretty whacked out.
Je vais avoir ma seule poussée, ça s'appelle Woody.
Well, it's funny because we were in a context where there was a mix of traditional or folky kind of artists that would sort of satisfy their craving to hear the Acadians, right? But we were there with other artists that were showing the other side of Acadie moderne, the new, what was going on now. So they were sort of prepared, knowing that, okay, this is a jazz fusion band, whatever. They're Acadian, they're instrumental. So right away, there's another wave. Because we're instrumental, they know we're Acadian, but they don't treat us as, they're not surprised that, oh, you're not playing traditional. Here it's like you have to explain it, but you have to sort of justify it. You have to put it on 50 posters. You have to say it 50 times, and then they get it. It's like, oh, okay. There's so many people and so many cultures and so much going on that it seems that it's a lot easier. And I think that's our market is in Europe. In the States too, because of the population base for sure, but Canada's a hard sell for what we do. It's not that it's a hard sell, but you really have to know where your people are and play there. What I find cool about music today is the internet is something that's making things change very, very fast, and people are networking like they've never networked before, and people are listening to a lot of music. People aren't buying a lot of music, but that's another debate. But just the fact that a lot of people are going on MySpace and listening to music and sharing music, so that right there, there's like influences that are spanning the globe in hours, So that's really cool. Whether it influences us in what we do, I'm sure it does, because, we all listen to all sorts of stuff. I know Denis, our guitarist, is really heavy into jazz right now, so he arrives with, this guy, I think his name is Brad Meldau, I'm not sure, but he does like jazz covers of Radiohead tunes, and it's amazing. There's an amazing version of Paranoid Android that just floored me the first time I heard it. So that's kind of cool, seeing like the traditional jazz dudes, like they're hip, they know what's going on, and they're taking styles and they're doing stuff with them. So whether it affects us, I'm sure it does in one way. I don't know if it comes out in our music. I hope so. I hope we become, or we have been, a sound that is global, that we're not pigeonholed, that, oh yeah, that's so Moncton. It's okay to be Moncton. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it's nice to be able to go in another city and for people to get it, or for people to dig it, not just say, well, we don't get it because we're not from where you are. Whereas before, earlier on in our career, that would have been the case. I couldn't see the Païens of 1997 playing France like we did. People would have walked out. I'm sure.